Hi everyone, my name is Phyllis and I'm the owner of Mad Moody Quilting Fabrics. This is part 7, our final week on Checker Me Over Quilt Along that we've been doing for the last 7 weeks. And this week we're going to be working on the borders. Before I show you the fabrics that we're going to be using for the borders, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what this quilt is, okay? So this is the quilt that we've been doing, and this is the body. So we have block 1 and block 2, and we have row 1 and row 2. We repeat row 1 3 times and repeat row 2 times, okay? And we just sew them together, and then we have our body. Now we're going to talk about the borders and what I do for the borders. But before I do that, I want to show you the fabrics that I'm going to be using. So we'll switch over to the top, and here we are. So we have inner border, outer border. So border 1 and border 2. These are the fabrics. And we need to have 5 strips. Now the pattern, you can get it. I'll put the link down below, and I'll put a link of what the fabrics are. And then if you want to see more of these, please ring the bell and subscribe. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take one strip and cut it in half. And I just like taking my scissors and just go cut, cut, cut. That's it. That's all I do. Okay. Once that is done, you're going to sew one border, one of these halves to one full strip. And what I like to do is, see how this has a white band and this does not? I'll put those two sides together and I'll sew a 1/4 inch away from the white band and then trim off the excess. And then I would do the same with the next one, but in this case I don't have a white band here, so I will be putting the white band against that one from the full strip, and then sew a 1/4 inch away and then cut off the excess. Now let's switch back to the front facing camera. So how I like to measure for my borders. Once I've got all my strips done, I want to do the top and bottom first. And when I do that, I like to measure across the center. Why do I do that? Because I know that this edge is probably kind of bowed out and has too much fabric. It's not squared up there. And putting your borders on is your last resort to get things squared and lying flat and also hanging straight, okay? So to do that, I measure across here, and I'll cut my top and bottom border to that measurement, whatever that measurement is. Then I will find the center of the strip and pin the center to the center of the body of the quilt and the 2 raw edges of the quilt and the strip on either side. And then I will start, if you have fullness, you will pin and keep that fullness equally across the whole width of the strip. Now, 90% of the time, or 99% of the time, the body has a little bit of fullness. So when you go to sew the strip down to the body, I like to put the side that has the most fabric, meaning there's fullness, right? So I like to put them down against the feed dogs, because we all know that the feed dogs feed the fabric, pulls the fabric through the machine just a little bit faster than the top foot would push the top fabric through the machine. So you will end up taking up some of that fullness that you might have in the body, or it could be the border, the strip border fabric also. It could be the strip of border fabric that might have a little bit of fullness also. And if that's the case, you'd put that one down against the feed dogs. But most of the time, it's the body that has the fullness. So I would just lay that down against the feed dogs and then sew my 1/4 inch and just gently making sure that the fullness gets pulled in. And then once you iron, you won't even know that that was full. And this will help square up and make sure that your quilt lies flat. You would do the same thing for the bottom border. Once the top and bottom are on, you will lay that quilt back out and you would measure down the center from top to bottom and take that measurement for your sides and continue the process. And you would do that for every border. If you have 2 borders, in this case, we have 2 borders, you would repeat this top and bottom, measure across the sides, including the borders, and just slowly put your borders on, measuring as you go. And if you have 3 borders, you continue no matter how much, and making sure that you don't end up putting too much fullness into your border fabrics. If you just take this long strip and start at one end and just not pinning, not making sure everything is square, and just lay it there and then sew it down and cut, chances are you're going to have some excess fabric that you don't need in your border, and then your border will become wavy. And then when you put on your second border or your third or even your fourth border, if you choose to have that many borders, you would end up having way too much fullness, and your borders are not going to lie flat. You're going to have this wave, and nothing will be square. So that's how you put your borders on, and you make sure that you have the right amount of fabric along that length of strip by measuring down the center, put your top and bottom border on, measure down the front, the from top to bottom to get your side measurements, and then put those on, and then go through the process once again for each border, each row of borders round of borders that you put on. And that's it. So that's it for now. And like I said, if you liked these videos and you want to see more of them, please subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when we upload these videos. And we'll see you on the next tutorial or next quilt along. And happy quilting. Bye-bye.